Hey, it's time now for the Geico 15. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com to find out how much you could save. CBS NFL writer Tyler Sullivan aboard to sink our teeth into some of the juiciest storylines across the league. Tyler, with Baker getting the nod in Carolina, really only one QB competition remaining. That's going to take us to Pittsburgh. What's the latest you're hearing out of camp?
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about this is the gaining of rookie Kenny Pickett. It feels like he's already leapt over Mason Rudolph for that number 2 spot, and he's very much gaining on Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, you look at that performance, he didn't play much in that preseason game, Kenny Pickett, but when he was out there, he was absolutely phenomenal. 6 of 7, was able to lead them down a 2-minute drive. His only incompletion was a spike. I mean, it was just absolutely textbook, and the only thing that was the most fascinating thing about it, outside of just the sheer production, was the fact that he was working with the first-team offense. This is the first time he's really kind of been able to get into a groove with those guys, and it looked great. I don't think that there was any really huge critiques that you can point to, and so if it looks like that when you're talking about a first-round talent in Kenny Pickett, you have to start answering the question, is Mitchell Trubisky doing anything enough to fully pull away in this contest? Because if it's even, or if it's even just a tick above for Mitchell Trubisky, if Kenny Pickett's just a tick below, I think you can seriously make a case for him to be the week 1 starter right out of the gate.
I'm pulling for Mitch for personal reasons here. Bryant McFadden gave me an ear beating every Sunday for about 3 years together.
I wanted to ask how you felt about your guy Mitch being a former Bear.
I just want to see BMAC have to answer for him. That's all I'm asking for. A couple weeks of that.
That's not too much to ask for. Well, there's definitely a feeling of a changing of the guard with this new generation of quarterbacks excelling. We have to wait to see some of those starters in week 1, like Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, to name a few. But of the QBs we got to see in week 2 of the preseason, Tyler, who do you think had the best performance?
Well, you mentioned Justin Herbert. Let's go with the AFC West. Let's look at Patrick Mahomes. He had some significant run in that Week 2 preseason game, and he was the same old Patrick Mahomes. He was 12 of 19, 162 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was doing everything. Like you see, sidearm throws on the run. He looked every bit the Super Bowl champion, the league MVP that we've known to come over the last few years here, and I just think that's a fascinating development as we see this AFC West go through an unbelievable arms race, whether it's Russell Wilson coming in with Denver, Devontae Adams coming in with Las Vegas, the Chargers really ramping it up on defense with J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack. The Kansas City Chiefs are getting slept on a little bit. Obviously, you have Tyreek Hill going to Miami, you have Tyrann Mathieu leaving, a lot of talent drained from the Kansas City Chiefs. But I like the kind of, hey, listen, everybody's kind of sleeping on us, Patrick Mahomes kind of narrative here, that he'll come out and, again, still be that guy, that legit number 1, this generation's candidate to be the GOAT. And right now we're seeing it so far. It's only preseason, but again, when you see him show out like that on the field, it does get you excited for what's to come when it actually starts going for real in Kansas City.
Yeah, we'll see if there is a heightened sense of urgency. They showed up at halftime of a good number of those games last year, and it ended up costing them. Not everyone is showing up to the facility Monday morning with that glow about them, a Patrick Mahomes-type glow. Second look at the tape has you feeling most critical about who?
Yeah, at this time of the year, you're really looking at kind of roster battles on the back end. I mean, we all know who probably the week 1 starters are going to be, but it's that back end of the 53, and how is that going to shake out? For me at the quarterback position, it's P.J. Walker, who had a weekend to forget in Foxborough. Just an overall bad performance, 2 interceptions, a fumble in the end zone that was recovered for a touchdown. And he's a guy that is very much, or was very much, in a competition for a potential roster spot there. Matt Corral injury maybe opens the door for him to remain on the Carolina Panthers behind Sam Darnold and starting quarterback Baker Mayfield, but it's almost by default. It's just because of the Matt Corral injury. Had things not gone that way with the rookie, he would have very much been on the outside looking in of making that final roster, and still very well could be. I mean, there's a world where the Carolina Panthers decide to just roll with 2 quarterbacks with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. And for what we've seen so far, the things that he's put on tape, it's not helping him for that next step in the event that he does get kept by Carolina. I don't know what team looks at that game against the Patriots and says, I want him to be my backup.
You got to think about it. These games are more about assessing players. No one really cares about the score or the outcome of these preseason games, except, of course, the Ravens or anyone playing Baltimore trying to snap that 22-game preseason win streak. But thinking big picture, Tyler, who was your winner of the weekend?
I don't know how it could not be the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they just were absolutely dynamic offensively. Their first 6 drives, 6 touchdowns. Can't ask anything better than that from Josh Allen and Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator. Allen didn't play much. He played just a drive or so, completed all 3 of his passes, had an unbelievable touchdown to Gabe Davis. Looks every bit the MVP candidate that we expect him to be this season. And the Buffalo Bills look every bit the part of a betting favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. There was some question, especially, I'm one of them, that wondered what this offense was going to look like as it transitioned from Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator who's now with the New York Giants, to going to Ken Dorsey, who has never called plays before in the NFL, never held the offensive coordinator title duties, obviously still working his way up, very familiar with the Buffalo Bills organization. But you just wondered, what was it going to look like? How is, if anything, going to change this offense to a varying degree? And from what we've seen so far, it doesn't look like it's going to change at all. They're still going to be one of the best offenses in the NFL and a legit Super Bowl favorite.
Yeah, really flexing that depth on the guy standing next to Josh Allen, going to be a backfield to be reckoned with. It is all about stacking bricks, I think, is the refrain we're getting at here at this point of the season. But not everyone's coming in on a solid foundation, Tyler. Who took the biggest step backwards in your eyes this past week?
Yeah, we'll go down to Tampa. I know today's the good day because Tom Brady's ended his hiatus and he's back from wherever he was in his departure from the team, but he's coming back to a very depleted offensive line. You see it over the course of this past weekend, too. Aaron Stinney is a torn ACL out for the season. He was competing to have that starting left guard job in the departure of Ali Marpet, who retired this offseason. So Brady's looking at a offensive line now that is really going through a state of flux. Obviously, the Ryan Jensen injury, we don't know when he's going to be back, but it's expected that he's going to miss substantial time. I just talked about Stinney. We don't know how that left guard spot's going to work itself out. Even Tristan Wirfs is dealing with an injury, not necessarily that serious, but we're going into the year for Tampa Bay where the guard spots and the center spots, the interior of that offensive line, are going to have entirely new characters. The right guard spot's going to be Shaq Mason, who was acquired from the Patriots. There's some chemistry there between him and Tom Brady. There's a rapport from their shared time there. But we all know how you get after Brady is going up the middle, attacking him like any other quarterback, attacking him in his face. And so when you start looking at the regular season, I don't know what's stopping the Dallas Cowboys from using Micah Parsons on stunts just to attack up the middle and wreck that game against Tom Brady. So again, that's what's concerning for me, just another body going down on that Tampa Bay offensive line.
Time now for the Geico 15-second bold prediction. Tell us what's on your mind, Tyler.
Well, let's go to Baltimore and let's look at the tight end position. My Geico bold prediction is going to be that rookie Isaiah Likely is going to annoy Mark Andrews fantasy owners to just an unbelievable degree this season. From what we've seen this preseason, he is a legitimate pass catching weapon. He's caught all 12 of his targets. He caught 8 of them last week for 100 and a touchdown. And he's got the praises sung by the head coaching staff and really is impressing them for what he's been able to do over 2 preseason games. And he's probably not going to be a major force or anything along those lines in terms of like a fantasy prospect or anything like that. It's still Mark Andrews as the clear stud, but there's going to be those weeks where he annoys you and all of a sudden you're saying, okay, I thought Mark Andrews was going to get the touchdown, and no, it was Isaiah Likely.
I really like that one, and it's looking likely that a star could be born. I had to. It was right there. All right, Tyler Sullivan breaking down week 2 of the preseason. Thank you, my friend.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.